Hey guys, it's Miss King. Welcome to history class. I missed you. I hope everyone's doing well. Today we are actually starting our unit. So we're going to be talking about this week and a little bit into next week about different skills that you will need to be successful in history class for the rest of the year. So we are just going over basic skills. Today and tomorrow and the day after, we're going to be analyzing and talking about maps. I read, they give you a lot of information. But today we are just going to kind of go over why we read maps and what information they give us. And then we're going to look at some specific maps and break them down into what I'll call the 4Ws. And you'll find out what those are in a couple minutes. You'll need a pencil, you'll need a notebook so that all of your information is organized. I do not recommend just having. Our aim today is that students will be able to analyze and interpret the different components of maps and the skills needed to understand maps. I am not used to reading the aim. I usually have one of you guys doing it. We'll go over the notes and I'll explain to you how you can take those notes in a minute, and then we have some guided practice where you'll pause the video, do it, and then we'll come back together and review. And then we have independent practice and homework. Your independent practice and your homework is on Edulastic. The links are on Google Classroom with today's link for this. And that's an Office joke if you're familiar with The Office. All right, this slide you do not need to jot down. In the next slides to come, anything in purple, you really want to make sure that you get down. That is really important. And then the other things are just to help explain. But this slide you don't need to jot down because we're going to come right back to it in like another slide, so there's no point in like rewriting it. But there are 6 components to a map. We have our title, we have our scale, we have our legend, and I'll go into these in more detail, like I said, in a second. So if you're like, what the heck is that? That's okay. And then we've got our compass, our grid, and our locator map. All right, these you want to get down. These are like, basically, these are definitions, right? All right, the first component of a map is the title, and that's the main idea. When you look at a map, the first thing you read is the title, just like a book. Like, what am I looking at? You don't pick out a book without a title. You look at the title so you know if it's something you want to read or not. So you look at title to see if it's the information you want. If you want to know population and you got a map of resources, there's no, I don't care how much corn is grown there. I care how many people live there. And we have our compass. Those are our cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. We have our key or our legend, and that just defines what the symbols or colors mean on your map. You have your scale, and what your scale does is it makes very large distances smaller so that you can actually see them. So instead of having a map that's actually 1,000 miles long, they scale it down so that maybe this much represents like 100 miles. We have our locator map. This is typically a very small corner map. And what it does is it either shows, well, it does show a specific area. So on the United States maps, you'll often see Alaska in a locator map. You'll often see Hawaii in a locator map because they just don't fit on the map. And then you have your grid, which are your lines of longitude and latitude. Excuse me. Now, if any point I'm going too fast, or you say, oh, I didn't get all that down yet, just pause your video. And then you can take as much time as you need to jot it down. Now, don't take 24 hours to jot it down, but you can take another minute if you need to. All right, so we're going to go over this. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to draw the state of Ohio. So we're just kind of going to go over what all these things actually look like. So here is like a subtitle. It is a subtitle. It's telling us the percentage of Democratic votes. So these colors are telling us how many people in that area voted for the Democrat in an election. And then we have our compass rose here. We have our main title here. You can kind of just, I would even kind of connect these two, like Ohio U.S. districts, percentage of Democratic votes, our key, and our scale. All right, so this is where you want to really jot down the purple. Now, if it's not going to make any sense if you just write the word framework, write some of the things together. So like if I were taking notes, I would put map =, framework, makes world understandable. I wouldn't, you don't need to really like write this. I'm thinking, you can write it, but you really want to get these purple words down. Maps show general regions, and put particular areas as well as categories and localities. So this was the 4 W's I was talking about. So this is really, I just love this sentence. You need to understand or know the what and the where. So what am I looking at? Where am I looking at? To understand who and the why. You're never going to understand who or why or be able to figure it out if you don't know where or what you're looking at. All right, so what I would do, or I want you to do, is for your notes, you're going to jot down the purple word, so location, and then I want you to jot down just the question that goes with it. So we're going to look at 5 reasons that you would use a map and the questions that you would ask yourself before you looked at it. So, obviously, one reason that people read a map is for location. Where are things located? I need to know where something is. It can be really specific, or it can be just kind of general. Again, just want to reiterate, because people do get this mixed up, that the latitude lines are horizontal and the longitude lines on a map are vertical. I always think, when I was in school, I always remembered it like, for some reason, like longitude, like long. I don't know, that's what I did. The next reason we read a map is place. So maps can tell us what makes a place different from another place. So you can look at a map and say, say you want to go on vacation, but you want to go on a vacation where it's somewhere tropical. People look at a map for that. Physical features, people that like to go hiking or mountain climbing, all of those, they need to know where they can go. You're not going to want to go somewhere 500 miles away and not have what you are looking for. Human interaction. So what are the relationships with people and places, and how have people changed the environment to better suit those needs? Movement. So what are the patterns of movement, products, and information? So how does one person, or how does one place that does not have a specific resource get the resource they need, and where do they get it from, for example? So this would be learning about modes of transportation, how people communicate or move ideas. And then finally, regions. So how can the Earth be divided up? This can also not just be like location-wise, like Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. This can include very specific things like language. What region of the world mostly speaks this language, Spanish? What region of the world mostly speaks Chinese? I mean, you can divide things up. What regions are, a lot of times we see this, especially the political divisions one. Around election time, you constantly see that. All right, you can look at a map and identify they do it when people vote, right? Which state is primarily Republican, which states are primarily Democrat. You can look at religions. What region of the world, it practices Christianity? What region of the world practices Islam? What region of the world practices Judaism? Obviously. All right, so here's another one. Now be careful for the what and the where for this one, but again, I want you to pause your video, and then we will come back and we will review our what, where, who, and why together. Be careful on the what and the where. All right, so what are we looking at? Now this one for sure, you want to get what I have for the what and the where specifically. So the what. We are looking at natural resources versus consumption. So this is showing us which states and how much so are using more than they're actually producing. So like specifically California, I know their big thing is water. Their big thing is water there. But they're hugely populated. But they consume way more than they actually produce. Where the United States, who I put movers. The president, researchers, scientists, just to kind of identify the states that are in most need. And then the why, analyze and identify, which I just said. So we're kind of in the middle. Well, no, we actually are like right here. So we actually use much more than we have. All right, so you are going to go ahead and do your independent practice. It is on Edulastic. I want you to use your notes. I want you to use your critical thinking skills. I want you to apply your notes to the question. They're on paper. Just look at them. You can call or text or Google chat me if you need help. You can always do Google Meet if you need to. Just text me. And then your homework is on Edulastic also. So you'll see those links. Make sure you do the independent practice before you do the homework, because the homework you're going to be like, what the heck is going on if you don't do the independent practice first. All right, and then finally, I miss you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.